we mentioned earlier on. Tricky fight for Anthony Joshua. Oleksandr Usyk moving up, of course, or has moved up across the last couple of years from cruiserweight. What do you make of that fight?
It's a tough fight for AJ. Depends how he approaches the fight. If he approaches it like he's going to try and box with him, he's got very good feet, AJ, so he might try and play the footwork game with him and try and play the quick game. But if it was me, impose your stature early on. Do you know what I mean? Like Derek Chisora just did it with him straight away, just imposed his size on him, and you see Usyk was like rabbit in headlights. He was overwhelmed by it. So you've got to make sure the ring's small or smallish. You can't go below 18 feet, but go close to it, and make sure you just don't give him space and shut him down. Attack quick and punch a combination, because you won't hit him with one shot. You're going to hit him in the second and third shot. And I think that AJ will try and be too clever early on. And if he does that, after 4 or 5 rounds he might be down, but then he'll have to bite down the gum shot and go get him. I think he'll stop him late rounds, 8 to 10.
Do you buy into this kind of rhetoric that's been bandied about Usyk, not the same fighter as a heavyweight? Do you think he's the same fighter that we saw unify the belts at cruiserweight, or has he changed?
No, he's the same fighter, he just doesn't have the size. Gone are the days that, like Evander Holyfield is a different breed. He is a different breed. Even David Haye, he wasn't the same as Evander Holyfield. He had power, but he didn't have the physicality. That's why his body broke down. That's why he had to pull out fights, because he just wasn't a natural heavy. Like Usyk's the same. His shoulder's gone. He's had injury after injury because he's thumping heavies. When you're sparring guys that are like 18 stone walking down, it's a different kettle of fish. It's like walking cement coming forward. Do you know what I mean? Your body's going to break down. So with Usyk, he has to be selective in his training camp, not spar too many big guys, not try and get used to the size, work on his sort of technical ability, and make sure he's as quick as possible.
Those are the words of Shane Mcguigan. And I like his breakdown. Okay, to counterpunch Shane McGuigan, I think he's absolutely correct. Joshua can't go in there trying to outbox Usyk. He does have good footwork. I know a lot of people don't give him credit for it enough, but he has good footwork. He's able to dash in and out, move about pretty well, okay, especially for a big guy. But if he's trying to outbox the boxing Usyk, he may find himself behind at the first beginning of the fight. He may, okay? And then he would have to go in for a knockout late. That is a great breakdown. Now, as far as Usyk, which also I agree with, Usyk can't go in fighting or getting used to big guys. Big guys is an irrenormality for him, not a normality for him, okay? He's just a smaller guy. And like he used the example of Derek Chisora went in blazing, okay, overwhelming him, because Derek Chisora knew, I'm not going to box this guy, I'm going to fight this guy. You fight technical boxers, you don't box them. That's the difference between what Canelo tried to do with Floyd Mayweather versus what Maidana did with Floyd Mayweather, okay? That's why Maidana had more success than Canelo, because Maidana was like, I'm going to fight this sucker. I'm not going to go in there and try to box him and slip and move. He's going to eat me alive. Okay? That's what Joshua's going to have to do. Impose his will, work his size, do somewhat of, another fight comes to mind, Ika Barabucci versus Chris Bird. Okay? Ika Barabucci knew, I can't outbox this guy. I'm going to come right at him. I'm going to fight him. I'm going to knock him out. I'm not going to outbox this guy for 12 rounds. No, that's his job. My job is to get the job done by hitting him with my bigger shots, because I am the power hitter. Okay, that's what Joshua's going to have to do in this situation. Now, he mentioned Evander Holyfield. He's a different specimen, a different kind of guy, and he was, okay? Evander Holyfield was able to move up from Actually, he came from, he was a cruiserweight champion, but then he went up to heavyweight, okay? And he definitely was a guy that the power came with him. He was still able to hurt guys. When he put the thump on guys, they were actually able to feel it, okay? That's why a perfect fight for him was Mike Tyson, because Mike Tyson was a huge heavyweight. That's why Evander Holyfield did have hell with guys like Riddick Bowe, because Riddick Bowe was regarded at the time as a bigger guy. Him and Lennox Lewis, those were the guys that gave him problems, mind you. But he was still able to carry that power up and get guys out of there, and that he was just this specimen. Now, I know that there are allegations out there with Evander Holyfield, this guy named Evan Smith from the same place that he grew up, the same age, the same birthday, ordered or bought performance-enhancing drugs at that time, and supposedly Evander Holyfield picked the phone up. You know, for one, let me counterpunch. How did we know that was Evander Holyfield? It might have sounded like Evander, you know, hello. But that we don't know if that was him or not. It could have been the guy. So, you know, that's probably speculation or whatever. It could be some truth behind it, but here's the fact. The fact is Evander Holyfield never tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. Okay? So, let that be that. So, based on what we know, he was a freak of nature and he was smaller. And needless to say that Oleksandr Usyk's idol is Evander Holyfield. So he wants to do and emulate what Evander Holyfield does. That's why I think he's trying to pack on a lot of weight. And like Shane Mcguigan said, you don't need that. You need to work on your technicality and forget about trying to fight or spar these big dudes all the time, because you're going to get injured because you're naturally not that big. Power doesn't have anything to do with size, okay? As far as you're trying to be something that you're not. I think Oleksandr Usyk is putting on this weight. Now he's 230. He should have stopped at 225 at the most, okay? But it was a great breakdown with Shane Mcguigan. That's my counterpunch on Shane Mcguigan's counterpunch on Oleksandr Usyk versus Anthony Joshua. You guys tell me what you think about Shane McGuigan's take on this. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.